It's Tia. It's been a Mississippi minute, but we bite, baby.
What's up, Pink Posse? It's your girl Ja, and yup, we back at it like a crack addict.
It's your girl Jiggy, aka Tanika. Listen, pull up on us. It's time to cut up, cause we back.
What's up, Pink Posse? It's your girl Kogi, and we're back. Pink Sunday Radio.
I think one of the fatal flaws is we see, I feel like Patrice is the flip side of Keyshawn of Miss Mississippi, because I think if we go back into Patrice's, whatever happened with her and Mercedes' father, and I in my mind, I feel like her father wasn't about shit. So I think we see the flip side of, I said this, I don't know if it was a bonus or a regular episode, where Keyshawn's reaction to her not having a shitty father, or a father that kind of abandoned her, and of course a shitty significant other, is she's become kind of meek and timid and stuff like that. I think Patrice's kind of flip side of that is her reaction is she became like this cutthroat person, and because she doesn't have any connections, because I think she also feels like she can't trust people, she has nobody that balances her. There's nobody there to say this is wrong. Don't steal from your daughter. Don't do these kind of things. So she's kind of gotten to this world where there's no real moral compass. And I'm hoping in future episodes and seasons to see that round out a little bit and somebody come into Patrice's life that shows her it doesn't have to be like this.
Okay, yeah.
So I feel like Patrice is a side character of Mercedes' story. And I think that's why we don't have a lot of outside connection with Patrice outside of, like, you know, what was going on with Pastor Gilfield, and that we're mostly focused on her relationship with Mercedes. But because Harriet really does steal the show as Patrice, I would like to see her more of her story. So I would like to say I'm sort of in agreement, if I'm reading what you said correctly, is that I feel like her flaw is that she has, one of them is that she has no one. She's always had to hustle for it, grind for it, trick, maneuver, steal for things, and I feel like that might have been her life prior to motherhood. And then that was her life trying to take care of Mercedes. You know, I got to sleep here and get on my knees there, which may cause resentment. You know, she's also dealing with that situation of not feeling respected as a person, let alone, you know, as a woman of God and a pastor, etc. So I think that desire to, in the process of her having this desire to rise above and show that she's more than that woman who's needs on the streets, but it's kind of like she's shifty. She'll do anything to get there, and she doesn't care who that affects. You know, she doesn't care if it hurts her daughter, if it hurts the city, if it hurts, you know, whoever's along for the road. And so, I guess I would just round it out to her flaw just being she needs a lot of healing. And I don't think she has anyone to tell her, you're wrong. You know, this is not how you do things. This is not how you build bridges. You actually could go further making friends. But that's just, I guess, my thought.
So for me, I kind of had the question. So is Patrice a villain in this story? Because I know Katori described her as a villain. I don't know if she's the one villain of the story, but then I wonder, can a villain have fatal flaws? Because isn't the point of, you know, isn't that the point of the villain? Because like when I I look down, if I like Google a list of character flaws in TV shows, like Patrice has a lot of these. She's manipulative, she's hypocritical, disrespectful, judgmental, controlling. And all of those are character flaws or fatal flaws, but they are also all the things that make her the villain. So, like, she has to have those things. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm saying, but
no, what you're saying,
I don't think
okay.
Right? I don't think we're ever going to get to a point in the show where, she needs healing, but if she heals, then she's not the show's villain, right? She needs to have, friends or companions and the things that she does on the show, but then if she has those, is she still the villain of the show? I don't know if she is actually the villain of the show, but that's how I look at her. So I don't think she can heal from those things or become a character that doesn't have any of those things, because then she wouldn't be the Patrice of the show.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Especially since Patrice says that she is the villain of the show, but I feel like she can still be the villain and they can try to heal some of the characteristics, and she can still have that manipulative, conniving side of her, which is what would make her such a great mayor she is right now. You know what I'm saying? Because she has that manipulative and conniving tactic, she can really bring such a spicy, great, some really good moments in the next season, One thing for me about Patrice is that she uses the word of God in such a terrible way. She uses the word of God to really take advantage of people. Because the word is, people gonna believe the word. Like, for a lot of people, if you take someone who is just kind of speaking in general, and then you take someone who's giving you scripture, right? Who's giving you all the breakdowns of the Bible, right? Then a lot of people in the world, especially Southern culture, is going to follow the person that's giving you all the words, right? Unbeknownst to them, they got so much dirt under their belt, they are no good. They just stole $20,000 from their daughter, right? But they got all this scripture going on. And for me, this is a character flaw. She is around there just using this word, and that woman is not right. She ain't right. She ain't no fucking good. Stealing money, and she's just not right. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts. That's just my thoughts about her.
So I'm not a super church person. I've kind of alluded to that here and there. I'm just not. For me, most people that I meet that are super into the church, it's always an instant side eye for me, like in real life. Because to me, most of the people that are super into the church are just like Patrice. Like, they'd be like the worst people ever, like almost all the time. And I know there's exceptions, but just my life experience, I'm always not shocked or taken aback, but some of the worst people that I've met are church people. And I think that is one of her fatal flaws, is she is trying to use the word to redeem herself, but it's her do, it's everything is in the name of the church. Like, to her, she honestly believes taking Mercedes $20,000 is justified because she was called, and so in her mind, she's thinking, God put this $20,000 in my hand so I can go ahead and speak His word and do the calling of the Lord and stuff like that. Because even when she's in this prison scene in the episode we just rewatched, she's like basically told Mercedes, well, all you got to do is get behind me in this church, because, you know, if you do that and invest in what I'm doing with the church, then all will be forgiven and healed, and you'll see it like I see it. And that is a big problem that we see. I love the way they're highlighting it. And I don't know if maybe Katori and them also have a similar experience to me, where the really churchy people are like this, because there's not one person that's big in the church in this series that we've seen that's a good person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, and I know me and Ja have said this before. Like, I know for me, I was raised Catholic. Then, because of certain circumstances, I had to convert to Baptist, living with my grandmother, because it was just ain't no Catholics in this house. But anyway, so I had to really get into the whole Southern Baptist culture and join the choir and all this kind of stuff. You know, the ladies with the nurses, you know, uniform on, and the big stands and the hats and everything else, and you knew that the sisters were sleeping with the pastors and everything else, but child, it was a lot of stuff going on in there, and I was just like, oh my God, and you up in here doing all this word, but come to find out you sleeping with the pastor. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I've kind of, not that I mean, I don't go as much, you know. Like Easter, yeah, we'll go to our Catholic church, but I am more removed from, you know, going to the sanctuary. I kind of like have my beliefs as long as it's in my heart. So I say my prayers. That it's just, yeah. Anyway.
So, Ja, do you agree with Tanika that Patrice is never going to see redemption?
So that's actually a pretty good question, at least into what I was going to say anyway. So as Kogi started to say, I am not currently a very churchy person. In the same sense, I am currently very spiritually led, but I did used to go to church. I was in church from the age of being 18 years old to roughly COVID 2020. I was a every Sunday church kind of person. I was in the choir, the dance ministry, the praise team, the this and the that. And I do feel like a lot of people don't get into church and they don't believe into it because of the church hurt. But, you know, not to get into the Christian rhetoric that I feel like is spewed every day, but again, it's another one of those situations where sick people don't go to the hospital. You know, sick people go to the hospital. Well, people don't. And so within the church, you do have a lot of people who are sick mentally, and some are coming there to find their healing, but you also know that a sick place is a hospital is also a place where some of these doctors are bullshitting you for your instead of treating what you have, they're treating your symptoms so they can keep getting your money, and so you run into these similar problems within the church, right? With Pastor Woodbine, Mayor Bishop Woodbine, I do feel like maybe she's in a battle I do think she manipulates the church a lot. I do think that, but I feel like she might have gone there to find redemption at some point. And maybe along the line of seeing how many cheating, money grubbing, BS nonsense was going on in that church, she then started to use it like they use it for her come up, for her manipulation. But because I do believe that no, I don't believe that. I was about to say, on one hand, I do believe that most people, as long as you're still breathing, you have a chance to change who you are. So there's possibility for redemption. I feel like when I'm at my old church, people used to come just to hear the choir, but then they would hear a word that changed them, right? And then, so I feel like some people still have that. It's not too late for Pastor Woodbine, quote unquote, to maybe, after season 5, or something like that, to finally see the light. But then you have narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, and stuff like that. And they're, in my opinion, what I've learned about them is they are never going to turn over that type of leaf. And so Pastor Woodbine could very well be that person too. So I guess to round up all of that, to my answer just being, for the show's purpose, no, absolutely not. I don't see Pastor Woodbine completely 100% going on the good path. But also this show, everybody's character is just that. Some good, some bad. If they're the hero, they do some wrong for the right reason. If they're the villain, they might do some right for the wrong reason. So, I don't know.
I don't think we'll ever see a full redemption. What I do think is when she gets into this next season where she's the mayor and she is going up against the Kyles and the council and stuff like that, I think we are going to see her do some different things when she really gets into the nitty-gritty of how much the black people in Chucalissa are oppressed. And I think there's going to be a few things where I think there's going to be a moment where if she goes with the council and the cows and stuff like that, she would actually benefit, but Chucalissa, the citizens of Chucalissa, specifically the black citizens, would lose. And I think what we're going to see in that moment is her making the decision where she loses, but the people of the city win. So it won't be a full redemption, but it'll be something that redeems her in the eyes of the viewers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to say, I don't think there's a point where she's ever going to be completely 100% redeemed, but I don't think she's irredeemable. I think we're going to see a point where her relationship with Mercedes, that part is fixed and redeemed, and she pays for in some type of way all the things that she did to Mercedes and fixes all of that with Teresa and everything. But I think the mayor bishop part of her character, and I don't know if she redeems the bishop part and the mayor is still villainous or vice versa, but somewhere in there I think there's going to be a push and pull between those two, and one part is going to be redeemed and the other one is still going to be villainous. I think she will always be the villain on the show at the end, but some of the characteristics will be redeemed.
Okay. That was a very good, insightful discussion about Patrice. Let's get into Corbin, Mr. Sub himself. I think his character flaw, to me, I just think he suffers, like a lot of people, identity crisis. Being a mixed child, being the bastard son. Anybody with the bastard son being a secret, in a small town like this, that it very, very hard. It makes it very difficult when you're trying to find your place. He had to put on a lot of masks to make his way. And even with that mask, he's still not accepted. As you can see, Cliff has accepted him. Therefore, they have become best friends. Have become best friends, and in my opinion, more. I think at this point, everybody kind of feels like that. They have that sub-dom and just a little bit more relationship. But I just think Corbin is trying to find his place, and sometimes when you do that, you straddle the line of loyalty as well. Just like in the field, when he was working, and he wasn't fully transparent with Cliff. You know what I'm saying? You have to kind of play both sides, and playing both sides, you can, can become unloyal to people, can hurt people that way, can really mess up friendships like that, which we learn later on, So, let's start with Tanika. Thoughts on that?
So for me, I think the one thing I think is, of all the characters, Corbin is the one who I could see his fatal flaw actually being his downfall. Like, we talk about Uncle Clifford's fatal flaw being her desire to, please everyone and protect everyone, but in the end, like, she's the main character, so that's not going to end up being her downfall. But I think Corbin's desire to get what he feels like he's owed, to be respected as a Kyle, and to be in proximity to the power that being a quote unquote white Kyle would bring in this in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And just his proximity to the Kyle brothers could end up actually really being his downfall, because just being around him, I think it's around them, which is Wayne and Wyatt Kyle, is going to be, I can see that being a problem for him in the seasons to come. I think they're definitely going to end up betraying him in some kind of way with the casino deal, and maybe even the thing with the canal, and I can see all of this really causing him some problems in the coming season.
Mhm. Okay. Ja?
Yeah. I think his issue goes back to that he doesn't know where he fits in. He's not black enough, he's not white enough, and I agree with, he's on that search for a power that he'll never possess. He's on that search for acknowledgement, and he'll do whatever he's willing, he'll do anything to be seen, and we see that often. Like, no matter how many times his brothers have harmed him, he's still looking for their acceptance. He's still hoping that one day they'll allow him to be in the club, where he already has a what we've seen on the show, a found family that accepts him. But for whatever reason, that's not enough for him. And we see that when he's at the meeting in season 2, he says, hi, I'm Corbin Cow. And he wants that to have some weight. He wants that to mean something. And unfortunately, in Chuckalisa, you're the bastard son. It's not going to mean as much as being Wayne Kyle Wyatt Kyle, and so he's on a never-ending search for something he won't have. You know, Uncle Clifford says, "I know what thing I'll never be." You know, and I feel like that speaks to Corbin not realizing you may be light as you can get. You will never be white, and you'll never have the power that your white brothers have and that whiteness holds in this city.
Mhm.
And so I agree with I believe what Tanika said as far as that will be his downfall, because the allies he could have had, he will stab them in the back just on the thought and the possibility that he will one day have that weight to his name and that acceptance, and he never will. And I agree. Them Kyle brothers gonna get him out of that money and out of any prestige he thought he was getting by coming up with this plan.
So, for me, I think, so there's a very basic quality of Corbin's fatal flaws or character flaws, that is, I'm mixed race, and I'm not black enough for the black folks, and I'm not white enough for the white folks. That's a very, basic, oversimplified version. However, everything about what is actually Corbin Kyle makes it so much more complex, because I'm really interested in the fact that, from what I'm understanding, his last name has been Kyle his whole life. So this is supposed to be a secret, but he has this big patriarch of the town, this big oil magnate, whatever it is that the Kyles are supposed to be. Because I think in Dan Johnson's interview, he said that the father, Daddy Kyle, was supposed to be like a big oil guy, and obviously they have the fields, and there's probably some slave money there too. But he's always been a Kyle, so I'm so interested in, I think more than anything, that's where the identity crisis and the not black enough, not white enough, because he's living in regular ass Chucalissa with the Kyle last name. So it's no way for him to not have an identity crisis, because you're literally watching across the hill, the Kyles living in this mansion. Your mom works there as a maid. So you're I don't know. I'm just so interested, and I hope we do get this, in what the relationship that he had with the dad growing up, because it seemed like the dad loved him and probably did do some things for him and his mom throughout the time that he was living. And then, of course, most of the time happens in this situation, he dies, and of course I'm going to now acknowledge my bastard son and give him all the stuff that I couldn't give in life. But I think that that's really it. It's not even acceptance. It's such a, I can't even imagine. I have the last name of the biggest family in the city, so everyone secretly knows that, it's a secret, but how much of a secret is it? Because, how many goddamn cows could there be in the town? And none of the other cows are half black. So I'm sure everyone knew, and I'm sure that was a big source of contention, where it's he's just always running after that Kyle legacy. And he's willing to do it by any means necessary. It doesn't matter who I mess over. I don't care if I mess over my best friend who's grown up with me my whole life. I don't care. He didn't really care about messing over his brothers, quote unquote. Now, obviously they're not close, but I think that is, he's so trying to chase this identity of what he thinks he should be, that he's doing it by any means necessary. Because even for me, second season, the way he was interacting with Haley, I thought was a bit much, because him and Haley have never had any type of real negative interactions with each other. In fact, their first interaction, she was a pole dancer, lap dance assassin and all this other stuff, but because now she's in the way of him achieving this Kyle legacy, she's all types of dishes, he's grabbing her up out the thing, which I don't think any of that is in his character, but he's so focused on getting to this legacy, this position, that he's willing to kind of throw any of his morals and loyalties out the window.
Yeah, that was going into that point, that shit was mad weird how he started treating Haley. Like, she was indeed all kinds of bitches, and I don't know if he felt like because when she became part owner and he was so close with Cliff, and now.
Hey, Pink Posse. I want to let you know about a movie coming out called Southern Gospel. It's a story of a man overcoming brokenness and never surrendering the dream on his journey to find the gospel. Tickets are now available at southerngospel-tickets.com. I've got my tickets. Do you?
Appreciate y'all for listening to the show. You can find us on Blog Talk Radio by using the link bit.ly/Pink Sunday. For Apple Podcasts, go to pinksundayradio.com. Make sure after listening to the replay, you leave a 5-star rating in the review, as well as a subscribe. For Google Podcasts, go to pinksundayradio.com/Google Podcast, as well as Spotify at pinksundayradio.com/Spotify. Hope to see y'all at the next episode.